In this video, we're going to go over how to create a transfer in ConnectSx. So transfers are the main way that inventory moves through the ConnectSx system. And when you do a transfer, you're transferring inventory from one custodian to another. So all inventory in ConnectSx has a custody, even if it's in the organization's custody. So when you're doing a transfer, again, you're moving inventory from one custodian to another, as opposed to moving the geographic location of that inventory. So first thing we'll point out is on the dashboard, we have this great transfers widget where you can see your pending transfers, and you can click this link to go right to the transfer screen. You also can find transfers under movements right here. And lastly, you can initiate a transfer directly in the detail screen for that piece of inventory. So if I scroll down, you can see the transfer section. I can initiate a transfer. The reasons you might not be able to transfer an item are if it's implicated in a case that's not been closed. You'd have to figure that situation out because that means it has like a pending status. It's probably going to be used in that case. Also, if a device is part of a container, that whole container would need to be transferred, or the device would need to be removed from that container. So here you can initiate the transfer workflow for a device. But we'll also initiate this from the actual transfer screen. So again, under movements in the navigation, we have all of our transfers here. You can see a lot of the data about the transfer as well as its status. And to create a new one, we'll go ahead and click the plus button for new transfer in the upper right corner. The first thing you'll do is select what custodian you're sending it from. So you can select the org or another type of user. If you're a sales user, this will automatically be grayed out to be your inventory, to be your inventory. You will be the custodian on the transfer because you aren't allowed to transfer inventory on someone else's behalf. However, if you're a distributor or an admin, you'll be able to select from the users that are available to you. Next, you'll select the type of user you're transferring to. So it'll be either a sales or a distributor in this case. And then finally, we'll select our user that we're going to send this inventory to. Click Next. And here you are essentially searching for the inventory and selecting it for all the inventory that you want to transfer. So you have a few options here. Most of these are your typical inventory filters, but we also have this sweet scan to add feature. So this allows you to utilize a camera or an external scanner to scan a barcode, and it'll automatically add that item to your selection at a 1-to-1 ratio. So this is a great way to save time as long as your UDIs or barcode data have been stored in ConnectSx. We'll be able to use that to look it up and add the item for you. But search and filter your inventory and select the devices that you're looking for. You can see as I select these, my selected tab count is going up. So these are the catalog and lot combinations that I've selected. And if I switch over to the selected tab, I can modify the quantities if I need to. I can see I'm using 3 out of 64 that are available in this transfer. And once we have everything selected that we need, you click Next. This will give you a final chance to review. Click the red X to remove any device. If you need to change the quantity, you can type in to the cell to do that, or use the plus and minus buttons. A few other options you have: you can reset the location on the inventory, add a description for the transfer. So if you want to add additional context, we have the description field and the transfer note field, which will allow you to enter any text data that you'd like. You also can associate this transfer with an existing event if that inventory is going to be used for that event, or you want to create just some sort of data linkage with a certain case. You have that option. And then a required step you'll want to definitely take care of is entering the ship to address. So where's this transfer going to go? And you can either select from the existing addresses stored in the system or enter it manually. And then lastly, you can reset the due back date. Or I guess not lastly, we'll also cover tags. You can also reset the due back date So if this is loaner inventory that needs to be returned, you can select due back date, and you and the user will receive notifications as that date approaches. And then lastly, you can also add inventory tags, which if you're not too familiar, these are user-defined search terms. So you can really enter anything. You can enter a new one just by typing and then hitting enter, and it'll get added. And what's cool about this is typically you have to add tags to a container or a specific device, but this allows you to apply a tag to all the inventory on a transfer at once. And the same thing goes actually for resetting the location. This is a great way to impact numerous devices at once, so kind of a bulk action. But once all your data looks good, hit create, and the transfer will be created with a pending status. The recipient will receive a notification that the transfer has been created and that they have a pending transfer they need to go take action on. The next step after this would be to confirm what's in the shipment and come in to, as the recipient, accept or decline it. The admin and distributors have the ability to accept or decline transfers on the behalf of a user that's under their purview. However, we find it is often best practice to have the user accept it on their own once the inventory actually arrives to mimic reality. So that's how you can create a transfer and execute it in ConnectSx. Tune back into our other videos for more information on how to use the system.